welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I review clean books. Today we are discussing a book I have been dying to read, The Notorious Scarlett and Browne by Jonathan Stroud. So it's a sequel. So the first book, I have it right here. So the first book is The Outlaws, Scarlett and Browne. If you haven't read Scarlett and Browne, do not recommend you watch this video because you will get spoiled and I don't want you to get spoiled. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and talk about it. What we need to talk about, the first chapter. It is so crazy. Right after I read it, I went on my Goodreads and I marked it as 2% through and I was like, this is the best opening chapter ever because it is. Well, it's from the point of view of another guy. Albert reads the criminal's mind and can tell where the criminal and all his accomplices are. The part about it that is amazing is the way that the perspective of the criminal is written and how he gets really upset that Albert can read his mind, but also he's just like filled with sorrow. Oh, and when we first saw Scarlett and Albert, it was like my children were coming home. I had missed them. I missed them so much. I was anxious with thought about where are Scarlett and Albert. So after the opening chapter, we get to the heist. I thought this heist was going to be the plot of the whole second book, but then it was over in the first 20 pages. So then I was thinking, what is the rest of the book? The one thing though about that heist is Albert takes that little stone and Joe and Scarlett are mocking him for taking it because it doesn't seem valuable. I kept waiting for that stone to be brought up or like used in the rest of the book and it wasn't. So I was a little confused about that. Or was it just a symbol of Albert's innocence, Albert's ability to find the beauty in the most mundane things? Was it just that, or is it going to play a part in book 3? Then Joe and Eddie get taken. That's when like the real plot of the book. Gotta save Joe and Eddie. I really liked learning more about the Brothers of the Hand because in the first book, you just get this really small inkling of why they're trying to chase her down and what her past is with them. And I've always wondered, why didn't she have to cut off her pinky? Maybe because she's a minor. Is she a minor? Maybe because she's a woman. But there's so many backstories. Ooh. You know me, I love a good world building. What is it called when you're alluding to something that already happened? Post-shadowing. I love the post-shadowing in here. It's talking about the cataclysm later when they get arrested, when they're about to all be hung by the news. We're talking about how people like Albert and Mallory caused stuff like the cataclysm. So then I'm just thinking, well, what caused the cataclysm? Are we sure it wasn't deviants? Are we sure it wasn't people with supernatural powers? I want to know what the cataclysm was. I thought other people knew, they just weren't telling us the readers, but no, it turns out no one knows. I do think that we will find out in book 3. So we find a little bit more about the background. We find more about the tainted, what the tainted are, based on when they're in the mines in Ashdown and the tainted come up. Makes it seem tainted are like alive people that died. They're not completely dead, so now they're alive again and they're like tainted and they're like zombies. I still feel like we don't have a lot of closure about what the tainted are, but I'm happy to know that that's where they come from. And because the entire world was destroyed by the cataclysm, the burning fire, there's probably so many tainted out there. And no wonder the people are freaking out. And the tainted are like indestructible. So I really liked that background, obviously, because I just wanted to know more about the world building. And then you have, Miss Scarlett McCain. Yeah, that first flashback, even from the beginning, Scarlett's been really resourceful and she's been really smart. And it was really sad reading about how her and Thomas got separated. But Scarlett doesn't know she's in a YA book. She would expect her brother to be dead. But I know Scarlett is in a YA fantasy adventure book. So I'm expecting him to be secretly alive. The issue is I was expecting him to be secretly Mallory. It says Mallory is exceptionally young. And I think that if Thomas had been taken away at a really young age and like sent to Stonewall and brainwashed, no way would he remember Scarlett as sister. So I was expecting this whole book that Mallory was Thomas. Maybe I just wanted it too bad because that would have been so dramatic. And then Mallory wasn't Thomas and he died / maybe didn't die at the end of the book. And then what's the guy's? Oh, Teach? Yeah, Teach is a jerk. When Teach said, your brother's alive, I was like, I thought he was gonna say, I heard someone found him. They took him to Stonemore because he was a deviant. Like I said, I was expecting him to be Mallory. So the fact that he is instead a slave didn't quite fit with my idea of what was going to happen, but I understand. It's like good. So yeah, we get a lot of Scarlett's backstory and she finally told Albert about Thomas. That was just really sweet. Now Scarlett doesn't have to carry this burden alone. When they're on the gallows, we are hearing Scarlett's inner thoughts before Albert saves them all. It says like she knew eventually one day she would die and her death would somehow make up for the mistake that she made of leaving Thomas out there to be hung up and taken away by animals. Scarlett can't outrun her brother. Just so sad. Needs to be studied. Needs to be studied in English class, this book. Then let's just talk about the ending. Scarlett, of course, saves the day. Ooh. I also was like, what is their plan? I thought there was a tainted in that big box. Sure enough, there was. I was really proud of myself for guessing that one. But if you didn't guess it, it's okay. Because I also thought Mallory was secretly Thomas. So, you know, you win some and you lose some. And then Albert's fighting Mallory. When he was fighting Mallory, I was trying to envision it in my mind. Whoa, we're getting some actual telekinesis pounding here. And then Albert ended up beating Mallory. Hopefully Albert can now keep it together. Now that he has telekinesis, I feel like their fighting abilities and their abilities to be successful just went way up. So how is that going to be handicapped in the third book to keep it an even fight? I don't know. Now we need to talk about the most important part. Scarlett and Albert. So at the end of the book, they're back at, I don't even remember the name of the hotel they stay at. The Devil's Hand? I literally could not tell you. For a second, Albert's like, Scarlett, I have to tell you something. I was so scared he was gonna say, too dangerous for me to be around you and Joe and Eddie. I need to go on my own. But he didn't say that. He's like, we need to go back to Stonemore. And Scarlett's like, yeah, I'll come with you. But then when they're sitting on the bench just chatting, it's a nice day outside. Probably there's birds in the air and the sun is on their faces. And Albert says a feeling as strong as the fear, but it was positive, like bursts up inside of him. And he was like smiling, and then he just wrapped Scarlett in a huge hug. Oh my goodness, they're literally best friends. They are literally best friends. I don't really think there's like romance there. I didn't get that at all, except for that one part when Albert holds Scarlett's hand on top of the roof when they're like running away, when they're about to be hung, and he like holds her hand for a little bit. And I'm like, what is this? Coming from someone who's always like, I need romance to like a book. No, that does not apply to Jonathan Stroud, because the way that he writes his character dynamics are just so refreshing and so good and so potent. If they don't end up together in book 3, I do not even care. That is the farthest thing from my mind. Like, I just need Scarlett and Albert to stay alive and I need them to stay best friends. Oh, because at the end of the book, Albert says, Scarlett knew my mind as well as I knew hers. And Albert knows Scarlett's mind, not even from reading her mind, because he doesn't even read her mind. Just because Albert knows her and Scarlett just knows him, and Albert says, we read each other's minds, we know each other's minds like our own. Wow. That's why they're never beating the soulmate allegation. So that's a lot of my thoughts about the book. I have so many more. Talking about what's going to happen in book 3. First of all, I bet Mallory is alive. I can see it 2 ways. A, he causes so much problems for them. Or B, he joins sides with Scarlett and Albert. Or maybe he still is secretly Thomas. I need to get that one go. It's probably not true, but maybe he still is secretly Thomas. I hope that we get closure about the cataclysm, this burning fire, because I don't want to take the answer of no one knows as like a reason. I want to know what's going to happen. I mean, Scarlett and Albert took down the Brothers of the Hand in this book. Next book, they're probably going to take down all the faith houses and all the mentors, and they're going to restore the world to its perfectly balanced justice systems. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Anna at ReadCleanBooks. I hope you have a good rest of your morning, night, evening, day, whatever time you're watching this. Bye!